According to research, in order for a culture to maintain itself for more than 25 years, there must be a fertility rate of 2.11 children per family. With anything less, the culture will decline. Historically, no culture has ever reversed a 1.9 fertility rate. A rate of 1.3, impossible to reverse, because it would take 80 to 100 years to correct itself, and there is no economic model that can sustain a culture during that time. In other words, if two sets of parents each have one child, there are half as many children as parents. If those children have one child, then there are 1/4 as many grandchildren as grandparents. If only 1 million babies are born in 2006, it's hard to have 2 million adults enter the workforce in 2026. As the population shrinks, so does the culture. As of 2007, the fertility rate in France was 1.8, England 1.6, Greece 1.3, Germany 1.3, Italy 1.2, Spain 1.1. Across the entire European Union of 31 countries, the fertility is a mere 1.38. Historical research tells us these numbers are impossible to reverse. In a matter of years, Europe as we know it will cease to exist. Yet the population of Europe is not declining. Why? Immigration. Islamic immigration. Of all population growth in Europe since 1990, 90% has been Islamic immigration. France, 1.8 children per family. Muslims, 8.1. In southern France, traditionally one of the most populated church regions in the world, there are now more mosques than churches. 30% of children ages 20 and younger are Islamic. In the larger cities such as Nice, Marseille, and Paris, that number has grown to 45%. By 2027, 1 in 5 Frenchmen will be Muslim. In just 39 years, France will be an Islamic republic. In the last 30 years, the Muslim population of Great Britain rose from 82,000 to 2.5 million, a 30-fold increase. There are over 1,000 mosques, many of them former churches. In the Netherlands, 50% of all newborns are Muslim, and in only 15 years, half of the population of the Netherlands will be Muslim. In Russia, there are over 23 million Muslims. That's 1 out of 5 Russians. 40% of the entire Russian army will be Islamic in just a few short years. Currently in Belgium, 25% of the population and 50% of all newborns are Muslim. The government of Belgium has stated 1/3 of all European children will be born to Muslim families by 2025, just 17 years away. The German government, the first to talk about this publicly, recently released a statement saying, "The fall in the German population can no longer be stopped. Its downward spiral is no longer reversible. It will be a Muslim state by the year 2050. Muammar al-Gaddafi of Libya said, "There are signs that Allah will grant victory to Islam in Europe, without swords, without guns, without conquest. We don't need terrorists. We don't need homicide bombers. The 50+ million Muslims in Europe would turn it into a Muslim continent within a few decades." There are currently 52 million Muslims in Europe. The German government said that number is expected to double in the next 20 years to 104 million. Closer to home, the numbers tell a similar story. Right now, Canada's fertility rate is 1.6, nearly a full point below what is required to sustain a culture. And Islam is now the fastest growing religion. Between 2001 and 2006, Canada's population increased by 1.6 million, 1.2 of those immigration. In the United States, the current fertility rate of American citizens is 1.6. With the influx of the Latino nations, the rate increases to 2.11, the bare minimum required to sustain a culture. In 1970, there were 100,000 Muslims in America. Today, there are over 9 million. The world is changing. It's time to wake up. 3 years ago, a meeting of 24 Islamic organizations was held in Chicago. The transcripts of that meeting showed in detail their plans to evangelize America through journalism, politics, education, and more. They said, we must prepare ourselves for the reality that in 30 years, there will be 50 million Muslims living in America. The world that we live in is not the world in which our children and grandchildren will live. The Catholic Church recently reported that Islam has just surpassed their membership numbers. Some studies show that at Islam's current rate of growth, in 5 to 7 years, it will be the dominant.
A rare inside look this morning at people who fight for ISIS. Some teenagers joining the movement say it's not a choice. Holly Williams spoke to some ISIS suspects in captivity in Syria.
Fleck, who's just 15 years old, admits that he fought with ISIS. He told us when ISIS captured his village, they gave him a terrible choice: join them or be beheaded.
I want to play for you a video of young children being recruited by ISIS. So why children? I mean, is this just propaganda, or are children this young fighting? I'll ask Mia first.
So, Don, as you know, this is the research that I'm doing now, trying to figure out ways not just why children are being recruited, but how to prevent it. According to the ISIS spokesman, children under 16 are not being recruited, but we have seen children as young as 7 holding up severed heads. We have seen children in some of the Vice videos, the Vice News videos about the Islamic Caliphate, showing children 9, 10, 11 years old being trained on automatic weaponry. So I don't think it's just about the propaganda. It's certainly about preparing the next generation and ensuring that these children hold some of the same values and ideology. It's a kind of brainwashing, but we are also seeing children as frontline fighters, and my worry is, going into the future, very young children as suicide bombers.
Yeah, we're quickly moving. Is she correct with that?
Absolutely, Mia is correct. And also just want to add, I think the New York Times did a piece today about using children as informants for the so-called Islamic State. It's more than just theater. It is, as Mia said, it's to prepare the next generation.
Islamic State militants waging war in Iraq and Syria have managed to carry out a successful global recruitment campaign. That's according to the latest report from a Syrian human rights watchdog. Well, last month, more than 6,000 men joined the jihadists, some of them from Western nations. And it's not just adults. The extremists don't mind having the young fight for them, too, like this 13-year-old Belgian boy. Earlier this year, he traveled to Syria with his older brother to fight alongside the radicals. The Islamic State has been increasingly turning to social networks. One extremist posted images of a child decapitating a doll in a reenactment of the American journalist execution. The caption urged followers to teach your children to cut necks. Canada has also become one of the recruitment centers for the Islamic State militants, and that's according to a local imam who claims the Islamists are infiltrating universities and mosques across the country.
Yeah, the ISIS campaign of recruitment in the Western world has been very successful. They have very successfully recruited Canadians, Europeans, Americans. ISIS is a big danger to the entire world.
ISIS want their caliphate to span generations, so ideas are crammed into minds that are often too young to understand their youngest. Mohammed has now fled to safety in Turkey, but was aged 13 when ISIS said he should attend their children's camp in the Syrian city of Raqqa. His father didn't agree. They didn't threaten me, he says, but they threatened my father. When he prevented me from going to jihad and the camp, they said they'd cut off his head. We pledged allegiance. Everybody who went to the camp pledged allegiance to Caliph Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. They take an oath, yes, seen here, but are also indoctrinated into ISIS's barbaric system of justice. They ordered us to come at a specific time, he says, and a specific place to watch heads being cut off, lashing or stoning. We saw some of these scenes. We saw a young man who didn't fast during the holy month of Ramadan, so they crucified him for 3 days. This boy has learned his lines. But they too know death too young. There was one of my friends, he says, who went with them for a battle, and he was martyred in Deir ez-Zor when he fought the Free Syrian Army rebels with ISIS. He was my age, 13 or 14 years old.
The jihadist shocking new footage reveals young boys toting automatic weapons. The video emerging Tuesday showing armed militant children, some no more than 8 years old, watching the execution of a prisoner in the Iraqi city Mosul. Uploaded to YouTube with the message, brutal sectarian war has come to Iraq, and many say it's as bad as in the dark days of 2007. The video is just the latest in the disturbing reality of children forced to fight on both sides of the line in the battle for Baghdad.
فقد من الله ويسر على إخوانكم في جبهة النصرة في ولاية درعا بافتتاح هذا المعهد، معهد أنصار الدين، في وقت يحاول فيه أعداء المعهد الذي يستهدف الفئة العمرية من 10 سنوات إلى 5 حصص تعليم السلاح، بعض أنواع السلاح، وأيضا القيام بالرحلات الهادفة، وأيضا مشاهدة إصدارات المجاهدين.
سبيلنا الجهاد، سبيلنا الجهاد، سبيلنا سبيلنا الجهاد، الجهاد.
They told us if we try to escape, they'll chop our heads off. That's what a 15-year-old boy named Mohammed, a Kurdish boy who was taken hostage in Syria by ISIS militants, that's the threat that he says that he and more than 140 other Kurdish 9th graders, the threat that they all faced from ISIS militants after they were taken hostage in northern Syria late last month. CNN has been provided with some photos of the hostage school children, many of whom are still held in custody, photos taken by a Kurdish activist. Mohammed described to us basically what sounds like an attempt at brainwashing the children, that they're woken up before dawn and subjected to hours of radical Islamic theologic teachings, and then at night fighters come in and show them violent videos and try to convince them to embrace violent jihad.
يصلون أطفالا وسرعان ما يتحولون آلات للقتل، يقولون أو يعلمون أن يقولوا. مدين أبو القعقاع ابن 12 عاما واحد من هؤلاء الأطفال السوريين، انضم من تلقاء نفسه إلى صفوف المقاتلين بعد مقتل والده في إحدى معارك الضواحي الجنوبية من إدلب. مدين الذي يتقن القنص وإطلاق قذائف الهون يفضل أن يكون قناصا، وهو ما يقوم به في معسكر وادي الضيف في المنطقة الشرقية من معرة النعمان.
بالنهار بطلع بقنص هون عساكر، أوقات بقنص واحد واثنين وأوقات ما بقنص. ما شعوري ما في شيء عادي. قتلت أول عسكري على هاي الجبهة، وقت اللي قتلته عادي حسيت عادي، صرت قنص أول واحد بعدين صرت قنص اثنين وثلاثة وتعودت على هالشغلة إنه القنص.
كيف لا والأطفال هم أفضل جنود على حد تعبير أحد العسكريين الراشدين، تأمر فيطيعون. الأطفال لا يشككون بشيء.
في مدينة دير الزور ومن أمام إحدى الطلاقيات واجهنا أحد أصغر أبطال الجيش الحر في هذه المدينة، مدينة الصمود، مدينة دير الزور. السلام عليكم.
وعليكم السلام. هلا.
شو اسمك أنت؟
راشد محمد.
قديش عمرك؟
13.
شكون اسمك؟
داني.
داني ايش؟
داني وليد لمي.
قد عمرك انت اخي المقاتل؟
14.
14. كيتلونك. الله.
خليك صاحي. احمد. احمد. يلا احمد.
معلش يلا.
معنا أصغر أبطال الجيش الحر المتواجدين الآن في أحد قطاعات الموظفين. طبعا أبو جاسم قائد على طلاقية وعمل بالنظام فرطنة، قولاتنا بالدين.
العسكري الأصغر أو المجاهد الأصغر في كتيبة أحرار الفرات.
يعني الشهادة.
هو يقول لي عمران كل شوي يقول لي أنا طالب شهادة.
لسه مثل هذا الصغير، يعني مثل هذا الصغير شيء كثير زيادة في حلب. We have a lot of
A summer camp in the Gaza Strip is teaching children how to kidnap Israeli soldiers as part of a series of what appear to be military drills for youngsters. The Islamic Jihad camp, which is open for Gazans between 6 and 16 years of age, teaches children how to use weapons and fight against Israeli forces. Photos released by Agence France Presse show youngsters toting AK-47s and performing military drills as explosion charges sounded.
احنا بدناش سلام. احنا بدناش سلام. حرب. السلام بدناش اياه. احنا نحكي الشباب اللي استشهدوا من مجزرة مخيم جنين.
انتوا ما نسيتوا الشباب اللي استشهدوا؟
كيف ننساهم؟ ننساهم مش احنا. دم الشهيد ننساهوش. يعني شهيد رجال عند ربنا، ننساش الشهادة احنا. بنضل نقاوم لحتى نستشهد كلياتنا.
Uses its television station to indoctrinate Palestinian children to value violence, hatred, and martyrdom.
فلسطين غدت ياسينا زهرتها تحمل سكينا لتها تحمل رشاشا لا 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 الأرض حبلى بالأسود الغاضبات
مين انت؟ ايش اللي جايبك هنا في داري؟ بابا انت قتلته في حرب العراق، وماما انت
انت قتلتها انت والصهاينة المجرمين في لبنان. جبت آلاف مؤلفة من الأطفال، من أطفال فلسطين وأطفال العراق وأطفال سوريا ولبنان وأفغانستان. معي على البيت الأبيض انت واصحابك كلها هيك، وما بينفع تدخل البيت الأبيض لأنه أصبح جامع ومسجد كبير لأمة الإسلام والمسلمين.
أقوم بإصدار بيان عني باسمي واسمنا. عني يقول محمد رسول الله، وهذه هي التي سوف نرفعها في كل العالم.
السلام عليكم. ما شاء الله.
ليبيا أدرك الغربية يا نجم سوريا، دولتنا منصورة.